Greetings and welcome to week 12. This week we will be talking about chapter 13, social justice and global community. Why is this important? This is extremely important. In our book, it alludes to the fact that global poverty looks different depending on where you are in the world. And this is so true primarily because depending on where you live, there are different layers of supports, different layers of resources that you might have access to. So the type of poverty and the way you identify it is going to look different whether you're in the United States, whether you're in a foreign country, depending on where you live. And then if we break it down even to the microest level, it's going to look different based upon your community in that country, right? In that particular state. That's going to vary based upon your access to different resources. So, what I would like for you all to do is to consider the 5 conceptual frameworks of production, distribution, and consumption, socialization, social control, social participation, and mutual supports, right? So what is production, distribution, consumption? Basically, that's local participation, right? Goods and services. For an example, we can say that housing, let's just use our Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So we can talk about housing, food, safety, for an example, and so how those entities work together, right? So in terms of housing, in order for a house to operate and be habitable, we need electricity, we need running water, right? So there's other organizations or entities that provide us with these services, these goods and services. If you work at a grocery store, we need food, right? So we don't necessarily have to get our food from the grocery store. Some people may, grow their own fruits and vegetables and eat plant-based. But it's still a process of receiving or giving goods and services away, right? Safety. We need law enforcement or the fire department, or in our case, we need social workers, right? To help people stabilize themselves and to make sure that people are in a situation that leads them to feel safe. So that's one way that we are considering the 5 conceptual frameworks. The second one is socialization, right? And basically that's the transmission of social values, norms, knowledge, beliefs, and behaviors. The third is social control. And that is the group influence and how that shapes how we are going to conform to what has been normalized as the acceptable behavior, the acceptable value, the acceptable thing to do, that what's right versus what's wrong, right? So that's how we conform based on social control. Social participation is basically citizen involvement on the economic, political, and social arenas, right? It's being present, it's being available, it's being, I'm going to use the word woke, right? And having an opinion about how that's going to impact you and impact those around you. When we choose not to participate, then we take our own voices away. And so other people decide and make rules and make laws that govern us, but we don't have an input because we have not taken a step to be at that table, right? So it's important to be at the table socially, politically, and economically, because if we're not, we're on the table. And lastly, mutual support, right? That's caring for others, right? So you all are entering the field of social work because you want to literally care for other people. You want to serve other people. You want to equip people with a skill set so that they can be successful in their own right, right? And so typically when we talk about mutual support, it's in the realm of helping people that are in crises or helping people that are distressed, right? And by equipping them with a different skill set and some tools that will help them long term be able to sustain themselves, be able to give back to the community on the social and economic and political, platforms. So all these conceptual frameworks work together to produce, well-rounded and whole people. So as you all may already know, there are gaps in wealth across the United States. We know this, right? And so I want you all to examine why these gaps exist, right? And in the gaps, have we considered oppression? Have we considered privilege? Have we considered power as, barriers to why this gap has widened over the years, the decades, right? And so I want you all to also consider inequity, consider poverty, and the mechanisms of oppression and discrimination. And so by doing this, you all will be able to illustrate and have a personal reflection and a personal self-correction as to why this matters and how it's going to help in your continued professional development. So, in reading chapter 13, I just want you all to identify and consider what is your economic status. And that's something that you all get to identify and define for yourselves. And then as we transition throughout this week, I just want you all to have an understanding of what that looks like and how that contributes to your outlook currently and what that may look like moving forward into the future. It might look one way today, but it might also shift in the future. So I want you guys to look at that, but in looking at it on a very small scale on yourselves individually, look at how that impact may transcend globally, right? So I want you all to consider that. In addition to that, consider reviewing the feminist perspective and its global development. And does that make any sense to you in terms of how you are ascribing your economic status today? Your papers have been graded for last week, so those are all posted. And I will be working on reviewing your discussion posts, and those will be posted by the duration of this week. And so all your grades should be up to date with the exception of this last discussion. And so I just want to encourage you all to keep up the good work. I appreciate you all asking questions and, seeking feedback. And letting me know what you all think that I can do a little bit better. Appreciate that. But most importantly, I appreciate you guys being critical thinkers and for you all just being vulnerable enough to understand the material and work collaboratively with each other. So I just want to wish you all a happy week. And then again, always feel free to reach out to me in a mechanism that is most advantageous for you. So whether it's email, whether it's text, whether it's a phone call, whatever is most beneficial for you, continue to do so and have a great week.